There comes a moment in life when the outer world no longer satisfies. Achievements feel hollow. Relationships feel surface level. The roles you've played, daughter, friend, professional, begin to blur, and something deep inside whispers, there must be more. This is the call to individuation, a term coined by Carl Jung to describe the process of becoming your whole, true self. It's not about self-improvement or self-enhancement. It's about self-revelation, a descent inward, into the wild, unknown territory of the psyche. Not to fix yourself, but to find yourself. The path is not linear. It is not always glorious. It doesn't make headlines, but it is the most meaningful journey you will ever take. In mythology, this is the hero's journey. But Jung saw the hero not as one who conquers dragons, but as one who learns to befriend them. The dragon, in this case, is your unconscious, the parts of you you've forgotten, denied, or disowned. To begin this journey, you must first admit, you are not yet whole. Not because you are broken, but because you have not yet claimed everything that you are. Individuation is the lifelong psychological process of integrating the conscious and unconscious parts of the self. It is the unfolding of your unique essence, not shaped by society, but discovered through soul work. According to Jung, it's the path that leads to wholeness. But what does this really mean? It means uncovering who you are beneath the expectations. It means facing the parts of you that you've hidden, your insecurities, your anger, your creative fire, your irrational fears. It means unlearning who you were told to be and remembering who you were before the world told you who to become. This is not a journey for the faint of heart. It demands honesty, solitude, discomfort, and surrender. It's easier to stay in the persona, the social mask you present to the world. But as we explored in The Persona Trap, how social masks keep you from your true self, staying behind the mask comes at a cost. Disconnection from your true identity. Individuation doesn't mean you abandon your roles or responsibilities. It means you bring your real self into them. It is the alchemy of the soul, turning the base materials of shadow, memory, and myth into the gold of self-awareness. No one begins this journey without first encountering the shadow. The shadow, in Jungian psychology, is everything we reject about ourselves. It's the traits we were told were unacceptable: jealousy, weakness, neediness, rage, and so we buried them. But what is buried does not disappear. It waits, and eventually, it demands to be seen. Meeting the shadow is one of the most difficult and liberating steps toward individuation. It requires you to confront the very things you fear about yourself. To admit you are not just the good daughter, the loyal friend, the kind partner, but also something more raw, more real, more contradictory. At first, this is terrifying. It feels like losing your image, your identity. But in truth, it's the beginning of freedom. Because when you reclaim what you've rejected, you reclaim your power. The shadow is not evil. It is unloved. And as we shared in Face Your Shadow, Carl Jung's secret to becoming whole, your wholeness depends on this integration. You don't heal by being perfect. You heal by being whole. The unconscious speaks to us constantly, not in the language of logic, but in images, symbols, and dreams. Jung believed that dreams were messages from the deeper self, a nightly invitation to dialogue with the soul. In the process of individuation, dreams become a compass, They reveal inner conflicts, hidden desires, and forgotten wounds. They often confuse or disturb us, not because they are meaningless, but because they bypass our rational filters. When you begin to take your dreams seriously, something shifts. You realize your psyche is trying to speak, and has been all along. Jung called this the symbolic life, living with an awareness that life is not just literal, but mythic. You start to see your inner world mirrored in the outer. You no longer brush off synchronicities as coincidence. You see them as signals. As we explored in Synchronicity, Carl Jung's hidden signs that guide your life, meaningful coincidences are not random. They're reminders that your soul is involved in every unfolding. Your dreams, your intuition, your gut feelings, all are threads leading you deeper into yourself. In the heart of the unconscious lies a mystery, the inner other. For Jung, this meant the anima, the feminine side of the male psyche, and the animus, the masculine side of the female psyche. These archetypes are not about gender. They're about balance, about restoring contact with the qualities we have exiled. The anima is emotional, intuitive, nurturing, receptive. The animus is rational, assertive, structured, action-oriented. When either is disowned, we become lopsided, overly logical, overly reactive, unable to hear our deeper voice. Individuation invites us to reconcile these inner polarities, to honor both the part of us that weeps at poetry and the part that organizes the calendar, to embrace both softness and structure. Jung wrote that integration of the anima or animus often begins with projection. We see in others what we've lost in ourselves, and only through heartbreak or disillusionment do we reclaim it. This is why relationships are often initiations. They don't just show us who we love, they show us what we're missing. In truth, we are not seeking wholeness in another, but a reflection of our own forgotten nature. The breakup, the infatuation, the tension, all are symbolic moments pointing us back inward. To individuate is to become androgynous in spirit, not in appearance, but in essence, balanced, whole, complete, and capable of loving from fullness rather than lack. The human psyche is not blank. It's filled with inherited structures Jung called archetypes. The mother, the hero, the trickster, the child, the wise old man. These are not just characters in fairy tales. They are patterns of energy within us. Throughout the journey of individuation, you will encounter these archetypes, both in dreams and in waking life. You may feel the urge to protect, to rebel, to guide, to destroy. These impulses are not random. They're symbolic. Individuation asks us not to suppress archetypes, but to relate to them, to be conscious of their presence so they don't possess us from the shadows. For instance, when you suddenly become the savior in everyone's life, the hero archetype may be inflamed. If you're stuck in perpetual rebellion, the trickster may be at work. Recognizing these energies allows you to use them rather than be used by them. You don't get rid of archetypes. You learn their language. You respect them like powerful forces of nature. Because when you ignore them, they tend to erupt as projections, compulsions, or crises. Individuation is the art of living mythically, of seeing your struggles as chapters in a larger symbolic story. You are not just reacting to life, you are living within a personal mythology. And the more conscious you become of that myth, the more agency you gain to shape it. No one can individuate without dying, symbolically. Parts of you must fall away. The pleasing self, the performing self, the version of you built to survive. This death is not an ending, it's a shedding. And on the other side of it is rebirth, a deeper you, more honest, more alive. This stage is often marked by the dark night of the soul, a time when nothing makes sense, when old identities crumble and new ones haven't yet formed. It is painful. It feels like falling apart. But it's not the end. It's the threshold. We mourn not just people and moments. We mourn versions of ourselves we can no longer be. It's grief, not over loss, but over transformation. And in that grief, there is grace. Jung wrote that the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. But becoming means unbecoming first, letting the ego die so the self can emerge. This isn't an event, it's a process, repeated in many forms across your life. Every heartbreak, every failure, every ending, all are opportunities to be reborn more aligned. The phoenix is not a metaphor. It is the reality of the inner life. To live from the self is to stop chasing and start remembering. You no longer define yourself by outer markers, success, approval, or image, but by inner resonance. You begin to feel what's true not through logic, but through a subtle sense of alignment in the body and heart. Decisions become less about strategy and more about inner knowing. There's a calm that enters your life. Not the absence of conflict, but the presence of a rooted center. The self teaches you to hold paradox, to feel grief and gratitude at the same time, to be strong and soft in one breath. You realize you don't need to eliminate contradiction to be real. You just need to hold both sides with awareness. You are no longer fragmented, but full of layers, each one accepted, each one welcomed. From this place, your presence becomes medicine. Not because you offer solutions, but because you radiate coherence. People feel safer around you, even if they don't know why. And deep inside, you begin to feel the same. Safe within your own being, no longer at war with yourself. In the age of scrolling and distraction, self-reflection becomes a sacred act. To individuate today means reclaiming attention from the algorithm and giving it back to your soul. It means choosing solitude over noise, not as isolation, but as nourishment. It means embracing discomfort, because growth rarely comes from comfort zones. You begin to see how much of your identity was shaped by systems that never had your wholeness in mind. The brands you wear, the jobs you take, even the beliefs you hold, all begin to feel negotiable. And what remains is something simpler, but infinitely more true. Individuation helps you discern the difference between your truth and your conditioning. You realize that healing is not a luxury. It's a rebellion against everything that tried to keep you small. And in doing so, you give others silent permission to do the same. The individuated person becomes a quiet revolution, not loud, but steady. Not flashy, but free. They may not fit into every group, but they belong to themselves. And in a world of copies, that is a radical form of light. The greatest adventure is not found on mountaintops or across oceans. It's found in the quiet depths of your own soul. The journey to individuation is the journey to you. Not the you others expect. Not the you perform. But the you that's always been there, waiting to be seen. This path is long, it's humbling, it's sacred, and it's yours. Along the way, you'll lose identities, illusions, and perhaps even relationships. But you'll gain something far more valuable: your essence, your authenticity, your truth. You'll begin to trust your inner voice more than the crowd's noise. You'll begin to live in alignment, not in reaction. You'll become not someone else, but more fully yourself. This is the journey Jung mapped, the journey mystics described, the journey every soul must eventually take. And it always begins the same way, with a quiet inner whisper: come home. If this video resonated with your journey, please like and share it. And if you're ready to keep walking this path with us, subscribe to The Art of Being. You're not alone. Your path matters, and your soul already knows the way.